What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Pull-Up Show. I'm your host, Mr. BJ Matthews, a.k.a. B Jizzle. Before we get started, follow us on the YouTube page, the Pull-Up Basketball Podcast. Like, share, subscribe, all of our YouTube videos. Hit that like button. Y'all come in here to share, subscribe, hit that Cash App as well. Let's get it popping. All right, so we got another video for y'all today, man. Wow, what a game yesterday between the LA Clippers and the Denver Nuggets, 122-126. The Clippers moved to 13-9 for the season. The Denver Nuggets dropped to 10-8. All right. So we got a lot to discuss, a lot to talk about. It was a weird game yesterday. It was probably one of the more exciting games this season, right? In the building, it was probably one of the most highest impact, highest amount games that we had. Now, I watched it again this morning. And I kind of, try to get my thoughts together. I'm going to recite my stuff, and I hope that you guys don't judge me too much, because I don't really like to recite too many stats on here because I'm not on my computer looking in front of me, but I do my best to kind of calculate that in my mind because I have like a pretty good memory. But y'all bear with me. So the Clippers beat the Denver Nuggets 2 times this year, right? Dating back in October last year, we beat them in Denver. We beat them last night. I think we got to play them one more time. I don't know if it's in Denver or LA, but we play them again one more time. So, with that being said, I'm going to talk to y'all about what happened last night, and I'm going to talk to y'all how I feel like throughout the rest of the time we're going to match up with Denver and how I feel like they are as a team. So, last night we seen the 2 biggest performers with James Harden and Norman Powell. James Harden had 39 points, 9 rebounds, 11 assists. Norman Powell had 28 points in 25 minutes coming off the bench. Now, it wasn't just those 2 that really prevailed. It was also the performance of Terrence Mann, who dropped 15 points, who had a very, very good game last night all around, offensively and defensively. You had Chris Dunn, who had a good defensive game, playing defense on Jamal Murray. You had, Visca Zubac. He struggled last night. He had 6 points. Did not shoot the ball particularly. I think he went 2 for 8 last night. Not a good game from Visca Zubac. But you got, a lot of different performers that came in. Amir Coffey had, I think, 13. You had Jordan Miller with 8 in the second quarter. Just a good performances all around from everybody. KPJ was out with an ankle injury. You don't know how long he's going to be out for. But as you guys are seeing, people are stepping up who get hurt. We had Norman Powell out for, 6 games. KPJ is going to be out for some time. Amir Coffey had like a little bit of a leg injury yesterday, but he got right back into the game. We're going to see how he feels tomorrow when we face Portland. So guys are stepping up. And, of course, the absence of our big dog Kawhi Leonard, which we don't know when he's going to actually be back. But yesterday was a weird game to me because if you look at the stat sheet, Denver shot the ball better than what we did. Denver has a top 6 offensive rating in the NBA right now to this day. They have a 6 offensive rating. That's with a down year with Jamal Murray. That's with Russell Westbrook in and out the lineup as a starter. That's with the departure of KPJ or KCP for Christian Brown. And you got, guys like Aaron Gordon who's been in and out of the lineup. He just got back yesterday on a minutes restriction. So Denver's working through stuff too as well. But they still have that offensive rating in the NBA. But their bench is the worst plus-minus in the NBA right now. Right? So that's saying a lot. That bench we've been talking about for the last couple years, them losing Jeff Green, them losing Bruce Brown, KCP starting last year, could have been starting this year, and having Westbrook coming off the bench as the main guy. I think the bench is something that we can exploit. I think that's what we've been exploiting the last 2 meetings. So now that you got that out the way, I thought Denver shot the ball well, except the free throw line. They shot 8 for 15 from the line, literally 50%. You had Westbrook miss free throws. You had Michael Porter Jr. miss free throws. You got Christian Brown miss a free throw down the stretch. So it wasn't even about the shooting numbers, the percentages, as much as it was about when you make the timely shots, which brings me to the Clippers. So Terrence Mann has been he's been inconsistent with his offense, which has made him go to the bench. And you got Chris Dunn, who's currently starting in his spot. You had Norman Powell, who's been starting since the beginning of the season. And I told you, I think the reason why Terrence Mann has been struggling, primarily some of it's because, just him, coming into the fold of things and, having to adjust. But I think a lot of it has to do with those comments from Norman Powell saying he wants to be the starter of the team. Because you got to think about it. Terrence Mann the last 2 years, excuse me, has been dealing with this for, him starting and him trying to get a spot on the team. I mean, you had dating back to since 2 years ago, you're talking about a guy who had, his spot taken by guys like Reggie Jackson. You had, John Wall. You had, Russell Westbrook come in, and now James Harden. And this guy was one of the reasons why we got to the conference finals back in 2021. So he's thinking, okay, the next following year, I'm going to be able to, be the primary starter. And it never really happened until, people started campaigning for Terrence Mann. That's why he's such a fan favorite. But there's something to be said of why he hasn't really secured a starting job these last 2.5 seasons. So that's why I really think it is dealing with him. It's like he doesn't have a set role with this team. No matter how good he plays, he still doesn't have a set role. And that's telling me that the Clippers don't really have that much faith in him starting as the, primary starter, right? That's why you see Norman Powell and Chris Dunn seem to be getting his time. But, the thing about Terrence Mann, I've realized it's more about the minutes than it is about him starting, because if he gets the minutes and he finishes games, then it's essentially pretty much the same thing. But he played very well last night, 15 points. Big 3-point shot in the corner down the stretch. Nicholas Batum, a player that did not get a lot of points. You ain't going to see it on the stats. You got to watch the games. Had a lot of second possession shots in that fourth quarter that allowed Terrence Mann, James Harden, and those type of players to get those extra opportunities to score. So Nicholas Batum is the glue guy we've been having for the last 2 seasons. He makes winning plays, right? So shout out to him. And then you got to look at also some other key pieces that we had. Chris Dunn did a good job on Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray shot 7 for 12 from the field, which is efficient, but he only shot 12 shots because Chris Dunn does a good job of exerting himself on navigating screens, right? So that's a key person down the stretch of games we have to be able to rely on, that point of attack defender. And Chris Dunn has been doing a good job of that, even when he's not shooting the basketball very particularly well. So I like what Chris Dunn brought yesterday to the table. Great game. Everybody seemed to contribute. Mo Bamba contributed. Jordan Miller contributed in the second quarter, getting minutes on the court. Right? Amir Coffey, again, 12 points off the bench. Just a good two-way player. He seems very confident from the three-point. I think he's shooting like somewhere in the upper 40s from three. Catching shoots, attacking the rim, playing hard on the defensive end, becoming very, very comfortable and confident in his role. Right? This is becoming a team effort. This is becoming a group camaraderie. Right? Guys are stepping up at this point. So that's all good reasons why we won. But I'm going to tell y'all, the game yesterday, when I seen watching it this morning, where it changed was, it was 80-70. And we were down in the third, I was in the third or fourth quarter. I think it was the third quarter, 80-70. And Jokic was playing, like doing what he was supposed to do, facilitating the ball and scoring and stuff like that. And it looked like Denver was going to go on a run and run away with it. But what happened was Norman Powell hit 2 3-pointers to make a 6-3 run, and then James Harden hit another 3. I'm going to talk to y'all about what I think Norman Powell brought yesterday. I think Norman Powell closed that game with 27 points. He hit the big shots. He was the guy that created rim pressure at the rim. And I think he brought somewhat of a stop the bleeding mentality when Denver started going on the run, because you have to stop the bleeding. And the way you stop the bleeding is to what? Attack the basket and be able to hit your shots. So I think Norman Powell came in with a mindset off of that hamstring injury to do just that and do his job. So Norman Powell, as I said before, has been the most consistent player, him and Zubac, right? I'm going to get to James Harden in a minute. But I think Norman Powell has been the most consistent player on the Clippers. I think he has been the best. He shot, I think, 9 for 17 yesterday, 5 for 8 from the 3, above 50%, above 40%. You know what I'm saying? 50, 40, 90 club yesterday. He's doing his job the best out of anybody else. He's getting the most production out of what he's getting. And he's closing the games. If you're watching this, watching the eye test. Right? So I think he was the reason what won us the game, but the guy that kept us afloat and was, you know, doing a little bit of everything, like rebounding, assisting, scoring, it's got to go to James Harden. He had 38 points, 9 rebounds, 11 assists. You know, now he did have 5 turnovers. I'm going to live with that if he's going to give you that amount of production. He went 10 for 26 from the field. I'll take that because here's the thing. Norman Powell played 25 minutes yesterday. And I think Harden's looking around like, look, there's not too many players that can create their own shot. Right? Not too many players that are going to be able to create their own shot, unlike me. So sometimes I'm going to have to take more shots on the court. But, and especially if Zubac's struggling, like last night, you could say Zubac wasn't really doing much with it, what he was, you know, giving. So you got to give the ball to other players, let them produce. He just didn't play well last night. I expect him to pick it up against Portland tomorrow. But I digress. James Harden is the guy that definitely deserves credit in terms of doing a little bit of everything on the court. Right? So the shots that he made, they went in that first half. You know, he got some. He drew some fouls as well. He drew foul after foul. I think he had 13 free throws. He made all 13 of his free throws, and he was able to, you know, outsmart some of those younger players like Christian Brown and, you know, Strother, and, you know what I'm saying, you know, he was actually outsmarting them drawing the fouls. So that right there tells you what was, you know, what James Harden had on his mind. And going here forward, I think the Clippers are going to be very comfortable going up against a team like Denver in the postseason. We have to deal with them. You talk about a team that struggled with Denver for about 2.5 years outside of the bubble. But I think since last season, we finally figured Denver out. Right? I think we finally figured Denver out, where I think if we go into a series, we'll be able to beat them. Because again, Denver was full strength. Yes, Aaron Gordon didn't play full minutes, but everybody played on Denver. We don't have our best player. So it's going to be, the only question is going to be is when Kawhi comes back, whose system we're going to be running through. We're going to run into James Harden's system or run through Kawhi's system. I think either or is going to work because Harden seems to play well against Denver, and I think Norman Powell plays well against Denver. He plays exceptionally well. Right? But I think we'll be able to take care of Denver in a series after watching these 2 games. Denver their defense is not there and their offense is good. It's elite. But their bench is not a good enough bench to, I think, compete with our bench. I think that's going to be the main difference. Unless they continuously build camaraderie and chemistry. But right now, their bench is just not good enough. But I appreciate y'all coming in, man. If y'all want to hear my breakdown entirely, check me out on Apple iTunes, Spotify, and iHeartRadio on Believe in Clippers, BLEAV in Clippers. If you guys want to check out those audios, man. I'm doing a lot of different, things and podcasts, and so check me out on there. But next time, pull up, see, pull up, check, pull up, peace, out of here like swimwear.